We're constantly looking for ways to provide actionable risk insights so our users can focus on mitigating critical risks instead of just identifying and prioritizing them. This quarter, we've introduced a risk matrix to the vendor risk executive summary to enable decision-making on which vendor risks to focus on first. The risk matrix shows the security ratings of the vendors and their risk exposure to the business. This provides a quick snapshot that enables you to quickly focus on the most impactful areas of your vendor risk management program by visualizing your vendor risk portfolio risk by security rating, which is a single quantifiable metric to show the security posture of a vendor, and vendor tier, which indicates how critical your relationship is with that vendor. By highlighting the vendors of highest concern, this feature will help you reduce your cyber risk in the most impactful areas. You can simply click through each cell and drill down to identify the specific vendors and their risks. I'm excited to show you how this risk matrix looks because when you first see it, you'll notice just how colorful and visually appealing it is. So let's jump into the demo so I can show you how the risk matrix looks, but more importantly, how you can get the most out of it. The risk matrix is located within the vendor risk executive summary. However, to enable the matrix, I will need to tier my vendors, with tier 1 being my most critical vendors. This is an important step to do, otherwise the matrix won't show up. But there are also many other benefits to tiering my vendors within UpGuard. For example, I can view the overall security rating of a tier of vendors by filtering them within the vendor risk executive summary. There are numerous ways I can assign tiers to the vendors I am monitoring. My preferred option is to go to the vendor screen and click on the plus button next to a vendor in the tier column. There are many other ways to tier my vendors, but another way I like to do this is to tier multiple vendors at once. For this, I can select multiple vendors and assign a tier so that it applies to all of the vendors I've ticked. So now that I have tiered my vendors, let's have a look at the new vendor risk matrix. The vendor risk matrix lives at the top of the executive summary under vendor risk. The matrix shows each vendor's security rating indicating the likelihood of a security incident occurring, plotted against the vendor tier, which indicates the impact on my business if a vendor has a security incident. The matrix shows the business impact from low to high on the bottom axis and the risk levels along the vertical axis. There is also a column at the far right showing the number of vendors that are not tiered for each risk level. If I want to see who these untiered vendors are, I can click on the cell, and from there, if I wish to tier them, I can do this using the options previously mentioned. The vendors at the top right of the matrix are those of highest concern and are displayed in red. In this example, 2 of my tiered vendors are of the highest risk to me. I can then click through on the cell to see a filtered list of those vendors sitting in that cell of the risk matrix. This will allow me to focus my efforts on my high-risk vendors by collaborating with both my internal team and also directly with the vendor to reduce their risk. Going back to the main vendor risk executive summary, I can export the vendor risk matrix as part of the report, which will provide me with a snapshot of my vendor's security posture and how much a vendor security incident can impact my business. The more critical the vendor relationship, the faster you need to mitigate their security risks. And the new vendor risk matrix will assist with this by helping you drive action where it matters most. With this feature, you can quickly identify vendors with the highest risk exposure to the business and drive remediation with your vendors and start reducing your cyber risk with maximum impact. And one last thing, just another reminder that before you can use this feature, you'll need to tier your vendors by criticality, with tier 1 being the most critical vendors for your business. This feature is now available for all UpGuard customers. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the Q&A or contact support@upguard.com.